Good day, friends. It's a beautiful January morning, a little bit cloudy outside, but it's a nice day. We have a new project, and here we go. Anyone know what it is? Me neither. Yeah, I do. It's an Ibanez SA series, made in Korea. I have no idea what model it is, neither does the owner, so it doesn't matter. There you go. It's a guitar it's a HSS affair, humbucker, single coil pickup, EMGs, don't know what they are. Don't know if they're active or passive. I would imagine that they are passive, being as a no battery compartment. I've removed the back plate for the tremolo because the tremolo was sat right back, angled right back. So what I've done is I've set it up floating, just for the purposes of this introduction video. The reason I set it up floating is then I can set and check, check and set the intonation before I take the old strings off. And what this needs is, this doesn't just need a setup, it needs a fret level. And that is because there are deep grooves on the lower frets. I don't know if you're going to see them. I'm just going to bend that string back, have a look. If you see them, you see them. If you don't, you don't. Take my word for it. I will show you later. Because there are deep grooves on these last few frets, we're going to level the whole lot and recrown them. So it's having an intensive setup. I also know the electrics are a little bit iffy on this. The input jack and the volume switch are scratchy. This is what the owners told me all about it. Now this came in, it belongs to a guy who belongs to a client of mine. Anyway, it doesn't belong to a client of mine, it's a nephew of a client of mine. The guy comes, obviously I've been recommended to him, so he obviously trusts what I am doing. His name is Chris. And he's trusting me with this guitar. Now, model wise, I've no idea what it is. It doesn't say on it. I went and had a look on the internet and I've seen some SSs. I've not seen one like this with this really strange saddles on this bridge. And they don't even sit level. They sit a bit cockeyed, don't they? They're going a little bit higher on one side than the other because they only have an adjuster on one side. So I don't know how that mechanism works. I've got a good idea, but I'm going to have to fiddle about with this to suss out how it works, because I can't find any information online. And like a guitar I did recently, I had the same sort of thing. It had screws, it was a bass and it had screws everywhere and different intonation screws, and I had no idea how to set them. So all I did was I took some Allen keys and I started piddling about and I worked out how it worked. I'm going to do pretty much the same with this. Very strange affair that the saddles don't sit like that, they sit that way. I wonder if I can get close enough in for you to see. I've just hit the stand there. But can you see there? They are higher on that side, your left side, than they are on this side, so they sort of go like that. Very, very strange. So I'm going to work out how that works, and what I'll do is I'll try and get them level, because I will adjust the height of the saddles by adjusting the bridge posts. We'll get it right like that. So what I need to do is just set the radius on this. So it's going to have a complete setup. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to completely strip the guitar. The only thing I'm not going to take out are the pots and the pickups, but everything else, all the tuners are not going to come off, but everything else we'll strip it right back. We'll check every single nut and bolt. I'm going to do a setup on this guitar as the guitar is right now. Let's see if we can get the intonation set and everything, and the radius set on the saddles before I strip the guitar, take the strings off, and we go and attack the frets. So I will periodically come back with updates here and there. We'll have a look at the electrics, we'll see if they are active or passive EMGs. Could be active, I'm still thinking they're going to be passive. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. While you're here, I'll take the back off. You just have to watch my left ear for a moment or two while I undo these 4 screws. We've already got the tremolo plate. The reason I took tremolo plate off is I needed to adjust the bridge to get it level, because it was sunk right, but it was pulled right back, and we've got that right now. Between the springs there was some rolled up toilet paper to stop the springs obviously making that horrible springy noise you get. You can buy noiseless springs, by the way. I had some on one of my guitars. In fact, I had some on 2 of my guitars. They're probably better than stuffing toilet roll in there. Okay, we do have a battery in there. It is an active system. There you go. So they are active pickups. Okay, interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look in there. Now the wiring in there, the soldering really is not that good. But it does look pretty solid. I will rerun, I'll get rid of this battery for a moment, for the time being. Right. There's not a lot of room in this place to work, but I've removed the battery. I'm going to have a look there. and the soldering on the input jack is not fantastic. I'm going to rerun some solder, that could be part of the problem. I'm also going to get some switch cleaner in the pots, which will help matters. There's a piece of foam has been glued in. Has it been glued in there? We don't want that. We'll get some... Ah, right, here we go. So maybe this did not originally have active pickups. Maybe it was originally passive, because look at that solder in there. That's a bit of a disaster, isn't it? I don't want to spend too much time in there. I'm just going to check that the solder, we've got no dry connections in there. I'll get plugged in a minute. The pot's a bit loose anyway, that's why it's crackling. It is a little bit loose. If we get it tightened up, I'm sure we'll be okay. Because the soldering everywhere else looks pretty decent. There doesn't seem to be any cold joints anywhere. The pots do need tightening up. The selector switch looks pretty okay. It is not very tidy in there, is it? It's a bit of a mess. So I don't know who's done that. That's not a factory. That's not been done at the factory. So the guitar, I don't know how long he's had it. I'm sure we're talking about it new 2 years ago, but I don't hold me to that. The fact that it's Korean tells me it's a really old guitar, because they don't make guitars in Korea anymore. Ibanez. All the guitars are made out in Indonesia, like most of the import guitars. The Korean factories don't really, I said they don't build guitars, of course they build guitars. Samik and Cyan and Court have moved out of Korea actually. So some of the other ones. So I would say this is an older guitar than we actually probably think. But anyway, let's crack on. We'll see where we are. So I'm going to get plugged in first, check the electrics, tighten those pots up, get the intonation set if I can. I'm sure I can. And once that's done, we'll get the strings off and we'll go and start working on the neck. Come back later, guys. So we do have crackling import. We have a problem there. And with the volume and this tone. Not so bad at the moment. Get on the middle one. So we're going to get some switch cleaner in there. In the pots, we're going to reflow the solder on all of the connections. I shouldn't be doing that. We're going to get rid of that. Might just be a matter of just resoldering the connections in there. So I'm going to flow some solder in there. Going to get these knobs off. May not have to remove the pots, I may be able to solder them inside the guitar, but there's not a lot of room in there, especially with the battery. So I'm going to get onto the electrics, get them done first. Once that's done, we're going to move on to a tremolo. We're going to set the, get the intonation set, move these saddles where we need to be, get the radius set, matching up with the neck. The radius on the neck there and the radius on the nut. Once that's done, I'm going to strip the guitar and we're going to set about the neck. We're going to get the frets done. So I've done what I said with the wiring. The reason I can't show you is I'll put the back plate back on to hold the battery in, but no more crackling pots. The input can be a little bit iffy. That's just a socket, I think. And if I pull it out and just shove it back in, it works fine. To clean the switches and everything, we went in with some service oil switch cleaner. It's my go-to. I've had this for years. What I've done with the pots is I've taken the knobs off, tightened up the pots, leveled, balanced them all out properly so we're facing each other properly. I've reflowed the solder on the three-way jack, and I've insulated the the input jack. I've also insulated it. I've flowed some solder over other areas I was concerned about. Now the electrics are fine. No crackle anywhere. So really pleased with that. So now I'm going to move on to setting the guitar up. And what I'm going to do is, with the old strings on, I'm going to I'm going to do the intonation on this guitar. So that's just a matter of, I I've got to work out how to work these saddles yet, because I've not had a go at them, so I need to get some Allen keys out. I'm going to plug in, we're going to plug into a tuner. My go-to tuner for setting up, it's a CA40 by Korg. Great little thing. The good thing I like about this is you can recalibrate it from 440 Hertz, which is regular, 440A, down to anything and up to anything you want. Got a massive range on there, but it's a great little tuner. Intonation's good on that one. Good. Sharp on that, we need to move that right back. Very sharp. G is okay. B is okay. We're all okay except the, was it the D? The D is very short, so we need to lengthen the string length or move the saddle back. Now I've got no idea how to do that, so you might as well come and learn with me, aren't you? It's just a matter of altering that. I have absolutely no idea. Let's get some Allen keys out. And we will learn together. How's that? I imagine we will be using metric size keys. I've got the 2.5, the 2 and a 1.5. These should be the right ones. Let's have a look, see where we are. So, do I just tighten this up or not? Do I have to undo that one? I've got no idea. Let's undo this and see what happens. Okay, I've undone that. And now it moves backwards and forwards, so do I move it back then alter this? I think I do. Can I do it with my fingers? Almost, yeah. This is really annoying, but it seems to be right. Is that big enough? No, one a bigger one. Is it an Allen key or is it Allen key 2.5 mil? I was right. So that's how you work this, by the looks of it. Now this one is a bit of a, you see it's not level. What's the point of that? I don't get that if it's not. Aren't my saddles, oh yeah, hang on a minute. They're meant to be skew with, are they? Looks like they're meant to be at that daft angle. Oh right, fair enough. So I set the radius on these. Right, okay, that's interesting. Let's get the intonation done first. I'll do the radius later. Right. Still sharp. A bit of a performance, but needs must. Loosen that locking one. I suppose we just keep tightening this till we move enough. That should be just about right. Okay, let's go again. Still saying sharp. And we go again. I mean, it is okay, it looks to be a bit of a bind doing this, and it probably is, but once you have the intonation set, it is set. I'm going to go a little bit more than I think it ought to go right now. Very odd. Okay. There you go, bingo. We have the intonation set. It was only that one needed changing. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to set the radius. So I'm going to get a radius gauge. I'm going to check where we are. I would be thinking that's going to be a 14-inch radius. A couple of ways we can find out. That's a 14, that's a 14. 14 narrow for that end, 14 wide for this end. Let's go. I would think it'd be a 14. Let's find out. That's not wide, is it? Yeah, that's absolutely a 14-inch radius. Let's check at the narrow end. Yep, 14-inch radius, beautiful. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a 14 understring radius gauge. And what we do with this is, once we have a height of the two outside strings set to where we need it to be, we then higher or lower these saddles just to rest on the top of this gauge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring them all higher than they need to be, just for now. And what I'll do is I'll just drop them back once I've set the two outside strings. Our strings 1 and 6. And we're all above where we need to be, which is great. Just going to nip back. Nip these out so we're not too tight. There you go, because it does slightly alter how they work. These are loose, so not an ideal setup, but we have to go with what we have, don't we? So let me just check string height. As you can see, I'm whizzing right through this, and it's because I know what I'm doing and I don't have to faff about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the string height of strings 6 and 1. That's perfect. Obviously that's a little bit low. What I'm going to do is we're going to get a little bit of relief. We have no relief in there at all. So I'm going to set the strings just slightly lower than they ought to be, which is, I'm actually happy where we are right now. I'm going to just take the low E down a little bit. And that's it. I'm happy with where they are because they are lower. That's 1.5, that's 1.3, but when I put some relief in the neck, this is going to be a little bit higher and it's going to be perfect. So the thing is, I can always change that again later. So I'm really happy with that, how it is at the moment. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to drop the strings to where they need to be. I've determined 1 and 6 are fine. So I'll now set the radius, and what it is with this radius gauge underneath, I'm just going to drop every string onto the top of this gauge. That means we'll have a perfect 14-inch arc, which matches the fingerboard and should match the knot. I will do the knot again in a while. Here you go, that's gone on there. Yeah, beautiful. So there you go. Intonation set, radius set, bridge set, all good. So now what I can do is I can remove the strings, we can work on the neck, we can come back, we can put some new strings on, get it all tuned to pitch. Once it's tuned to pitch, the setup should be done. I will still check the radius, I'll also check again the intonation, and I'll check the string height above the 12th fret and the amount of relief we've got in the neck. I'm also going to check the nut slots, make sure they are low enough, they seem okay. So I'm quite pleased with how that's gone. We're going to have to recut the nut slots again anyway, I think, because we're going to be removing material from the top of the frets. It may only be a 1/10 of a millimetre, but if we remove a 1/10 of a millimetre from these, we've got to remove a 1/10 of a millimetre from the nut. So we shall do that in due course. Stay tuned. I will come back with more updates as and when. So we have moved on with the guitar a bit, but I've had it plugged in. I've been playing it, but there is still a problem with the input jack. All the pots are sorted out, no crackling. I've set the bridge floating beautifully. Got the intonation all set and the radius set on the saddles. I've also reset the neck. We've got a little bit of relief in there. I've got the action set to where I want it as well, above the 12 frets. So the guitar is set up and it's kind of playing, but I still have a problem with the input jack. And even though I've insulated the terminals on there, it's still touch and go whether it works or not when you put a jack in there. So I'm going to have to replace it because I've already flowed new solder. In fact, I took all 3 wires off and I reconnected the wires. I even insulated them, but I do have one out of my parts drawer. Now the fact that it's in my parts drawer says that this is working and it is fine, so it may just be fantastically fine and we'll be okay with that. But if this isn't working, I'm going to go and order a new one, and that's going to take a couple of days to get here, and I don't know how much they cost. I'd imagine they cost in the region of anywhere between £10 and £15, I would imagine. So I'm going to have to replace the one in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some photos of what wire goes to what terminal, so I know where I am, and I'll mark these up accordingly. What I'll do is battery I'll mark as probably green, hot wire I'll mark as red, and earth I'll mark as black or something like that. It's normally what I do. It depends what colour pens I've got in the pot, doesn't it? So I'm going to remove back plate again. Got to desolder the wires once I know where they go, and I think we're going to replace that barrel jack there. I'm going to go upstairs in a minute, get on eBay and have a look, and I'm going to go to WD Music and some of the little websites I know, stuck away corners in England, and I'm going to see who can do me a brand new barrel jack and at what price. I did come across a new shop. I can't remember what the called. I got an email from them and I thought, what's this spam? And I went to look at it, click the link, and I thought, oh yeah, I did buy some Fender stuff from them last month, and it was cheap, cheaper than anywhere else. So I'll go have a look at some of the websites, see if I can get a good deal. And there we go. I've got the back off. I'm just going to remove that. There's no point in me filming anything because all I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to check what terminal does what. I'm going to mark up the same on this one, and I'm going to put this one in, and we're going to see if that fixes the job. So we're starting to lose the light a little bit, but hopefully you can still see this. I've got the new jack in there, and if you see the wire, the black wire that's on there, which is the earth wire at the bottom, I have insulated. And what I'm doing is, when I put the new wires on, I'm taking some a little length of shrink wrap tubing, and we're just insulating over each of those lugs on the new socket. The old one is here. I have no idea why these fail, they just do over time. These are not my favourite type of jack because if they do fail you can't fix them because all the gubbins is inside there. But that's the old one out, it's not working. Hopefully this one I'm putting in does work. It was in my parts drawer, so that would normally say that it's safe to use, otherwise it wouldn't be in my parts drawer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the hot wire and the battery wire. I'm going to cut some insulating, a little bit of insulating shrink wrap tube in there, and all being well this will work. So a bit of tube in, blah 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 blah. Take my word for it, I'm going to crack on with this. I will come back and show you how we got on shortly. All being well, it will work. So I may as well show you soldering the wire. I've got one more to do. We're going to take, it's just the battery wire or battery clip wire. I'm going to take a little bit of shrink wrap tubing, place it over the wire so we can isolate it from everything else. Just going to slightly melt this because it's in a bit of a blob here. That's good. I think I'm going to go in that way. I just need to crush that a little. Make sure it fits in the hole. Maybe a bit of solder trapped in there somewhere. See where we are. Now I've decided it's too wide for the hole, so what I'll do is I'll just twist that thinner. There you go, through the hole. Just hold on there, a little bit of solder. That's plenty. Strand sticking out there. That's fine, good connection there. We'll take the heat shrinker out. Hopefully you can see where we are. And we're just going to take the solder iron, we're just going to melt that on. So we have a new input jack on there. Shrink wrap tubing's all on, we're all nicely isolated. So now, if that jack is okay, that will be working. So I'm going to get the battery back in, cover back on, and we will check it out, test it. Get that wire under there. I'd much sooner have a battery compartment on this, but it doesn't have one, so let's not complain. But the way we're going to isolate it is by wrapping it in some plastic, like so. Stick that in there, everything's out of the way, the wires are all out of the way, we hope. And that should be it. Stick some screws in just to check it. Just hold everything, just hold the battery mainly. So that's it, I'm going to try the guitar. All being well, that input jack will now be fine, the new one. And then I can move on and get the frets done. Right, there we go, back shortly. Right, you can just about see me there. The input jack is now sorted. So that's all good. Can now move on to getting the frets done. Right, so I know the angle's not fantastic, but before we level the frets, I want to show you how we go about it. And what we need to do is we need to get the neck as straight as we can. And 9 times out of 10, necks are not perfectly straight along the length, especially on a more budget guitar. So what we do is we place the not straight edge over the frets, and we're going to try and get this neck as straight as possible. Now, if those keen-eyed among you will notice that we have a little dip down here and a tiny bit of relief in the middle, and that means the highest point of this fingerboard is here, between here and here, the last fret and the second or third fret. So it means we have to compensate for where we are. And what we're looking to do is get the neck as straight as possible. Now, we don't want that relief gone and that dipping down more, and we don't want that having no dip and a load of relief in there. So what we do is we have to make a compromise. And this is something I've always done by eye, and what I do is I do that and I shine a light behind, and I'm just looking for a little bit of light. And I've got a tiny bit at this end and a tiny bit in the middle. That to me is straight enough. If I altered the neck to get rid of this relief, that would have a more pronounced dip. And if I took that dip out and bring that part of the neck up, this would have more relief. So that to me is what I call a straight neck. And the level I'm going to do is, the level is not going to be the neck. We always get the neck as straight as we can, but the level is going to be done across the frets. So where we've got a little dip there, we'll take less off these frets and more off these ones. And where we have a little dip there again, we'll take more off these and less off these and more off these here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go across the whole lot using a levelling beam. And the level is going to be the frets. It never is the fingerboard anyway. We always get the neck as straight as we can, but the level is going to be across the frets. And we're going to take a levelling beam like so. I have 240 grit sandpaper on that side and I have 400 grit that side. The 240 grit will remove the main material until we have them all level. The 400 grit will smooth them off and make them easier to polish later. Now, I don't just go in at this and start sanding away. What I do is I'm going to tape up the fingerboard first. Just that way we're not going to get bits of crap going under the frets, which shouldn't go under the frets anyway. But we don't want it flying about and I won't be able to brush it all off. So I'm going to tape up the whole fingerboard. Now I've determined the neck is straight enough for me to go on. And then we're just going to come and we're just going to level all of the frets like so. That's just a couple of strokes here just to show you how we're doing it. We've already removed some there. And we're going to follow the radius across here. I may even also get out my 14-inch radius beam, which I don't have it to hand at the moment, but this is the kind of thing we're looking at. This is made of aluminium and it's got a radius, and we're going to get the one that matches the radius there. This is a 12-inch, so it's not the right one, but I'll get the 14-inch one. I'll put some 400 grit paper on there, and when it comes to finishing off, we'll finish off with the 14-inch radius just to make sure we maintain that radius across the whole length. Really simple, really, you know, just apply a little bit of logic and you'll understand exactly what I mean. It's not a difficult job, you've just got to do it right. So I'm going to get the fingerboard taped up, I'm going to come back, I'm going to remove all the material I need to remove till the frets are level. We're going to smooth off with that, and once that's done we'll go across with the 14-inch radius beam just to make sure we've maintained that radius, and then we can get on to recrowning and polishing, something else I will explain later in the video. Right guys, so take my word for it, we have levelled all of these frets. I've been across with the 240 grit and the 400 grit, and I'm just going to finalise going over with a 14-inch radius block. Now I don't have an aluminium 14-inch radius block, I thought I did, but the 5 sizes I've got do not include the 14-inch, so I'm going to use this wooden one. But all I'm going to do is, and I hope you can see from here, we've flattened the tops of all these frets now because the frets are now level. I'll go across with a fret rocker in a minute before I go over with the radius block just to show you. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go across with the radius block with some 400 grit sandpaper on there just to make sure we've maintained that radius across all of the frets down the whole length of the neck. Because once that's done, once I'm happy that we have maintained that radius, we can move on to recrowning the frets. Which is, it's a bit of a dull job, but you know, part of the process. You just muck in and get on with it, don't you? But anyway, I've marked up these frets with a bit of pen. The pen's it's actually wearing out. I'm going to get a new one. New markers, get them on the shopping list. But there you go. And that's going to be enough. You see I've got the fingerboard all taped up, ready for crowning the frets later. What we're going to do is just take a 14-inch radius block, and you'll see the radius there. Stick the block, stick the paper underneath, and all we're going to do is we're just going to make sure we've got good coverage. Going to bring up the sides, and all we're going to do is just up and down the fingerboard until all the pen has gone. And once all the pen has gone, I'll be happy that we've maintained that radius up and down the whole length. And I am very happy with that. So we have removed all of the pen. It means the radius is even all the way down the length of the guitar. And that's it. That is all of the frets levelled. You can see, I can zoom in just a little for you. And you will see that we now have flat frets. And we need to put that crown back in. I'm going to do that in a minute. And how we do that is, I will show you just on this one fret. Because I'm not going to film a whole lot. I've got a busy day today. I'm going out in a bit. I've got a thing on at church tonight. In fact, I've had a thing on at church every night this week so far, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So time is short. Just to show how we go on with this, I have a number of files on hand. I will be using my 3-edge crowning file. And what I'm going to do is, because this is flat on the top now and I want to put that curve in across this way, I'm going to use a 3-edge file. And as I go across on the far side of the fret from the camera, I'll bring it over and I'll start to lean in to create that arc on one side. Then I'll come to the other side and I'll lean the file away from the camera and create that arc on this side, and ending up with a crown like that. And once that's done, I will go in with my crowning file and just remove any burrs. And pretty simple procedure. I've explained it quite a few times before, so it's just a matter of, let's clean this fingerboard first. I do have a brush for this, here you go. just so you can see better. Just clean all that up. Some more pen on there. And what we're looking to do with this file is just leave a thin line down the centre of that fret, maybe 1/3 of a millimetre wide. And all I'm going to do is, and now I'm going to start leaning in towards the camera. I'm just going to start creating that arc on one edge. Then I'm going to come to the other side, do exactly the same. I'm going to tilt the file away from the camera. And there you go, we have a nice thin line right down the centre of that fret, and that is where the string is going to connect with the fret. A nice thin line there, created a beautiful arc called a crown. I will take the 2mm side of this and I will just finish it off. And there you go. And that is that fret finish. We now have that beautiful crown back on there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 21 more to do. It's a 22 fret neck. There's a 21 more to do, so I'm going to crack on, get that done. Once it's done, we'll come back, we'll treat the fingerboard, and we'll get some strings back on and get the guitar set up. Welcome back, fret friends. Just a quick update on this Ibanez. I've got my dog here, Ross. Hello, Ross. Say hello to the people, Ross. Come here. Come here. Say hello to the people up there, look. Say hello. Hello. No, he's not going to say hello. Good boy. You get down there. That's Ross, the dog. The American Bulldog. He's beautiful. He's a rescue dog. We've had him about 4 years. He's a good boy. Yeah, update guitar. So, I just wanted to show, because I now have the frets crowned again, and you may see on there the thin line in marker down each fret, just right down the centre, and that's the area that the string is going to contact on the fret. And the reason we like a small area, and the reason that we crown the frets, is we like that contact where the string comes and hits the fret. We just want it to be a small area, not flat, because if it's flat we're going to get a buzz. So if we just hit the top of that crown, the string will be going that way, for instance, it's going to create less buzz. And we're always looking for around about 1/3 of a millimetre on there. All I need to do now though, is I need to go across with the profiling file, which is this one. All I'm going to do is deburr the edges. Very simple to explain. I'm just going to deburr these edges and just go across, just to remove any uneven burrs that may be on there. And it's just a matter of going lightly and just, we're looking for that D shape or that crown on the edge of a fret. And once that's done, I've already checked, I've been across with a fret rocker, checked that all the frets are now level, which they are. So they're leveled, crowned. I just need to deburr with this, and once that's done, I'm going to polish the frets. And to polish the frets, I'll be going across with 6 different grits of sandpaper, ranging from probably 800 grit through to 2,500 grit, maybe only up to 2,000. Depends how they come. Normally you can go with 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, and you've probably got enough. You know, you get a real nice polish on there. And when we polish, we don't polish to make them look shiny. That's a wrong misconception. That's a misconception, that is. We polish them to remove the scratches and make them shiner. So the more grits of paper we use, the more of a polish we're going to get on there. They're going to be smoother, they're going to be glass-like, they're going to look fantastic. It is a long-winded process. A good tech will probably do it in a couple of hours if he does it right. I've had people say, I could do that in 20 minutes. Well, you're not doing it right, then, are you? Because you can't polish frets in 20 minutes with 6 grits of sandpaper and steel wool. And I may even finish off with my Crimson Guitars polishing rubbers. We'll see how we go. But I love the end result of fretwork. I don't particularly like polishing them that much. It is a bit of a chore, but we do it. And I do take my time. And if I'm not enjoying it, I walk away, go do something else and come back to it. So this whole process is likely to take me 2 or 3 hours, but I may not be just polishing the frets. Don't get me wrong, I do love what I do. And it's all about the end result. So it's worth soldiering on with. You know, you've got to persevere in a job like this. It's a lot of work, but it is very, very rewarding at the end. So I'm going to crack on with that. I may show you some little bits of that, I may not. It all depends how much time I think I've got later, because I've got a lot on at the moment. So stay tuned and come back soon. Oh, say bye, Ross. Say bye-bye. Okay, love you too. Ross says bye. So this is probably the most boring part of the whole job, and it's polishing the frets. And what we do is get the guitar supported, and we go across using various grits of sandpaper. I've already gone across with 4 grits, being 800 grit, 1,000, 1,200 and 1,500. and I'm just going to finish off with 2000 grit. Once I've done the 2000 grit, I'll finish off with steel wool. The frets are now looking really, really nice. They're highly polished. This is really boring doing this. It takes quite a while, but the good thing about it is I've already got the frets highly polished. All I really need to do on the last run is the tops. But what we do is normally wet my finger just so it holds the paper, and we just go across the top. But what I like to do is I like to get right into the corners as well, either side of the fret, get right in the corners, then go across the top, and that is it. And that is that one polished. And all I need to do to finish that one off is grab some steel wool. I'm sure I have some knocking about somewhere over here. I do have a piece here. And once I've got across this one fret with steel wool, like so, because I've used all the grits of paper, it comes up, and that is like, it's like highly, it's just like a mirror. Highly, highly polished, and it's absolutely beautiful. You're not going to get it from where you are, you're not really going to see it. I could just lift up the guitar just a little to show you that M1 there. Hopefully you can see it. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to do the rest, the other 21 of the frets, finish off with a 2000 grit, then the steel wool, then we can get the tape off, we can glue the nut back on, get some strings on, get it strung up, get it set up. And that is the frets all done, and they look pretty amazing. They look fantastic. I'm just going to lift the guitar just a little, and you might get an idea. And I'm going to just hold it there. They are superb. So I'm going to peel off the tape, I'm going to oil the fingerboard, and I'm going to come back and show you how good the frets look. I'll also peel off all this tape off the body, we'll use for protection. This is to protect the body for when I'm filing over the frets to recrown them and everything, because I don't want to ding the body. So anyway, that explains that. I'm going to get all the tape off, and I'll come back and show you the result. As promised, there we are. And what do you think to those? They look good, don't they? They're absolutely beautiful. You can pause it there if you want and zoom in. Absolutely beautiful. All the indentations we had down this end are now all gone. We leveled the frets along the whole length. I mean, that is good news, but the bad news is you will not get another fret dress out of this. Next time there's any significant wear on these frets, it is going to need a refret. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know what frets these are. I'd imagine they are 12% nickel silver, which don't last too long. I use 18% nickel silver myself, which is twice as hard as this stuff, and it should last you, when I do a refret, the refret should last you about 20 years, even with a fret level later down the line. There's no guarantees with that, it lasts as long as it lasts, but yeah, it's beautiful. Really, these frets look fantastic. So I guarantee they are level, they are crowned, and they are polished. I'm going to let the lemon oil soak into the fingerboard just a little bit longer, another 10 minutes. Then I'll wipe it all off and we'll glue the nut back in, get some strings back on, and we'll commence with the setup. I'm not going to film the setup. I already set the guitar up with the old strings on before I took them off. So the setup should be more or less pretty much bang on when I put the new strings on, because it's same gauge, but I will check everything again. I'll check the intonation, the radius and the action and everything. I will return the pickups back to their original position because I screwed them down just so I could level the frets. I've yet to bring them back to the correct height. So I shall do all of that once I have the nut glued on and the strings on. Let's have a look here. Here's the nut, same one's going on. I may have to cut the grooves a little bit deeper because we have gone down on the fret height has been reduced slightly. So I'm going to super glue that on in a moment. The nut, just a dab of super glue just to hold it there, and that is it. So hopefully next time we come back we'll have this guitar more or less finished. Morning guys, so we're just finishing off. I just need to cut the nut slots out a little bit deeper because they are a little bit high. I go under with a feeler gauge. I'm going to go 0.25 on these lower ones, 0.3 in the middle two, and 0.325 or 0.35 on the lower string. So 2 cuts on a nut slot file. You've got first string and fourth string on this, second and fifth on another, and third and sixth on another. This is a 1026, so it's built for a 1046 gauge. We'll take the 10 and we're just going to carve ever so gently into the nut. We don't want to remove a lot of material. go. We're just going to get in there, drop the E back in. 0.25, perfect. Next one. That's a 13, so we'll go with a 13. Cut. We'll bring the string over. Looks like a Graphtec nut, so it's self-lubricating. So we don't need to get anything in there, any gunk in there. It'll be absolutely fine. And again, good enough for me. The next one is a 17. So not difficult, especially when you've got these slots pretty close as they are. Not quite deep enough on that one yet. Perfect. Now we're going to go to the fourth. Back to the red file, but this is a number 26 cut, as you see. Here you go, 10, 13, 17, 26, 36, 46. Beautiful. 36, that's really quite high. So 36. Just flare each side, just open it up, just that little bit extra. Still high, that one. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go gung-ho, because you don't want to go too deep, because then you'll end up replacing the knot. So 0.3 blade, so I'd say that's about 0.35 where I want to be. Happy with that. And the final one, I'm going to stick this one at 0.4, just that little bit higher. That's very high. Take the 46, cut. Doesn't want to cut at the moment. It means I'm going to go in with the 36 just for now, just to start it off. We'll take the 46. Sometimes it just doesn't want to push forwards. It's because it's a tight slot, I think. There you go. Now I've got it going forward or just about. There you go, we've got it. We're moving. A little bit more. Still too high. Now we're cutting, look at that, much better. Perfect, so that is how we cut a knot quickly. Now this is really easy because we didn't have to remove a lot of material because it was almost there anyway. So I'm really pleased with that. Clean up the files, put them away. I'm going to tune the guitar in. Once that's done, we'll make sure the tremolo's set right. We'll check the intonation again, and that will more or less be it. Back in a couple of minutes. And here we are, guys, and the guitar is all finished. Doesn't it look wonderful? And let's recap what we've done. Came in, the tremolo was rested right back like that on the body of the guitar. Shouldn't be like that, should be floating perfectly horizontal like it is now. So we've got backward and forward movement on the tremolo. I've just recut the nut slots. It's had a complete setup. I've re-heightened the pickup height. This one was a bit low. I've had to go in, done the electrics, replaced the input jack, tightened every nut and bolt on there, set the tremolo, and I've also given it a complete fret level and recrown. This has probably had a good 6 hours, this guitar, you know, but it's beautiful. I've reset the truss rod. We've got a nice little bit of relief in there, just about 0.2, about a quarter of a millimetre at the 9th fret, and the guitar looks and plays wonderful. I've had it plugged in, sounds really nice. A nice big output from the EMG active pickups. I didn't know it was active till I got the back off. You can also see in there the tissue paper stopping the springs clanging. They would clang a little bit, but that's it. The guitar is all done. Lovely guitar. He's coming back for it this morning within the next hour. Is Chris. Sure, he's going to be very pleased. I might have another plugged in before he gets here, just to test it all out. The input jack was a problem. We did have, it was intermittent. I'd have thought with a jack being in there, it's pulling on. So these are not the best things. I would probably go and get yourself a Switchcraft one, which are a little bit more expensive, about 15 quid. But these, they go on the inside. Once they've gone on the inside, they've gone. You could possibly make this be intermittent as well if you yanked on the jack, because they break inside or something comes loose inside. But I've got a new one in there, or a new old stock one in there. I've only charged him a £5 for that. But that is it. His guitar is done. It's ready to go back. I do not know the model number. Couldn't find it. He doesn't know it either. It is a Ibanez SA series, made in Korea. So I would have thought this will be an earlier one. Definitely an earlier one. I would have thought these pickups would have come stock, but don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure. Normally they have their own Ibanez pickups nowadays, so I'm not sure about that. Maybe we did do a model with these active EMGs in there, but who knows. The bridge, I don't like how these saddles, they're not straight, they're slant. They're meant to do that. They only go up on one side when you alter them, so I'm not keen on that. But it's a fine fulcrum tremolo on 2 pivots, which is the best design. It works fine, it just looks a little bit odd. It does look good spec though. Satin finish saddles. So what a lovely guitar. Been great to work on, but this project is finished. So boys and girls, I'm Victor Christian, I'm your fret friend. Just before I do go, remind you of my website. Go if you want to find out anything about me or my work or watch my videos or whatever. You can get me easiest on facebook.com. So you want to look at facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor Christian. I'm your fret friend. Until next time, boys and girls, God bless. Be good to each other. And I'll see you next time.